Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel Into Medicine. We are back after a very long time. It's not like we were doing something good, but we are back. So let's begin our today's topic. And our today's topic is going to be pulmonary function test. The pulmonary function test is also known as lung function test. In your book, it can be written under any one of the heading. So both are the same thing. Now in pulmonary function test, what do? We generally assess the function of our lungs, just like any other function test, such as liver function test or renal function test. We assess the functioning of the liver and renal. Here we assess the lung function. Now, why do you perform this function test? The pulmonary function test helps in diagnosis of disease. Secondly, it helps to know the severity of the disease. And third, it helps to know the progression. Either our condition is improving or deteriorating with treatment. So basically, it covers all these three things. Now, pulmonary function test is divided into 5 categories under which it is studies and we ascertain the function of our lungs. So basically, what are these 5 classification? The first one is lung strength. You assess the strength of lungs. It is also known as airway narrowing, assessing the airway narrowing or obstruction. So in the first category, we assess the lung strength. In this, we also know about airway narrowing and airway obstruction. The second point, we know about the lung volume. The amount of air we breathe in or out is to be ascertained also in the pulmonary function test. The third point is about measuring the transfer factor or diffusion capacity of the lung. Diffusion capacity of the lungs. The fourth thing we measure is the arterial blood gas analysis and oximetry, which you all are aware which we have done mostly during the COVID times. And the fifth one is exercise testing. So these are the 5 headings under which we do pulmonary function test, and this gives value about our lung function. Are they healthy or diseased? Now this video will only explain these 5 headings shortly, and we are going basically this video will be explaining all these 5 in short detail. We are not going into the very detailed part which we will cover in subsequent videos. So the first thing is lung strength and how we measure it. For the lung strength, you need to be aware of certain values. First one is FEV1, second is FVC, third is FEV1 to FVC ratio, and the fourth is peak expiratory flow rate, PEFR. Now what is FEV1? FEV1 is the maximum air exhaled out of the lungs after a deep inspiration during first setting. Got it? It is the air which is exhaled after a deep inspiration in 1 second, and that total amount of air is contributes to the FEV1. Now the second is FVC. FVC, also known as force vital capacity or force ventilatory capacity. It is the maximum air exhaled during expiration after a maximum inspiration or deep inspiration. So the FEV1 is the air we measure at the first second, and the FVC is the measure during the whole expiration. That is FVC. The third point is FEV1 to FVC ratio. What is it? It is the ratio of both the above values. Let's say FEV1 comes out to be 4 liter in first second, and our FVC comes out to be 5 liter. The ratio comes out to be 0.80, which denotes the lung is in healthy state, because more than 70% or more than 0.70 is the value for good lung or healthy lung. And the peak expiratory flow rate is the maximum air forcefully exhaled by the patient after a deep inspiration in a peak flow meter, and which is measured in liter per minute. It's called peak expiratory flow rate. So these are the values which comes under lung strength. The second value or the second category is about lung volume. Now before going further in the lung volume, I forgot to mention that these four values are measured through spirometry, or you perform spirometry to get to know all these values. So when you advise a patient for spirometry, you got to know about these inputs. Now the second is lung volume. The lung volume cannot be measured through spirometry. It should be measured through two methods. The first one is inert aeration of helium. Inert helium aeration or inert gas inhalation. And the second is plethysmography or plethysmography, you can say anything. The inert helium method uses the helium gas, which is inert and it is unobservable, and the patient breathes into the helium. We measure the initial concentration and the final concentration to get to know about all the values. In the body plethysmography, the patient is kept under a airtight chamber. Generally, it is made of plastic and transparent to avoid claustrophobia, and the patient continuously panned into a closed circuit. Here, what we measure that as we breathe, we expand our lungs. So we generally measure the pressure and volume and final pressure and volume. So under lung volume, we apply these two methods. What do we take in lung volume? They are tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume, expiratory reserve volume, and residual volume. These are the four volumes which then combine to give us inspiratory capacity. These four will give vital capacity. These two will use functional residual capacity, and all these will combine give a total lung capacity. So in second category, we measure all the volume and the capacities. I can show you through graph that how do we measure Its values. Wait just a minute. Let's see. So, what are these? I can make you understand through a graph. The amount of air you breathe normally, or that is normal respiration, is tidal volume. Then, of a forceful inspiration and followed by a forceful expiration, and then again a normal value. So basically, this part, or we can say this range, is all about tidal volume, the normal amount of air you breathe in during normal breathing or respiration. This above value from here is comes under IRV, or inspired reserve volume. This, the second value, the third value, is known as expiratory reserve volume, and this value is known as residual volume, the amount of air that remains in your lung all the time to prevent it from collapse. And this whole value is functional residual volume or functional residual capacity. Our FRC is come from this. So this is all about lung volume. Now let's move on to our third category, that is the third category is about transfer factor or diffusion capacity. What do we do? Under this, 0.3% of carbon monoxide is used to ascertain the diffusing capacity of your lung or your air in and out of the blood. So for this, the transfer fraction or diffusion capacity is generally expressed as TLCO. TL capital and underscript in carbon monoxide underscript, which generally means that transfer factor of carbon monoxide or carbon monoxide transfer factor. When this is expressed per unit lung volume, it is known as KCO. Diffusion capacity per unit lung volume, then it is written as KCO. Generally, it is used to know that your lungs are diffusing properly or not. The fourth, then we move on to the fourth point level, which includes then we move on to our fourth point, which is arterial blood gas analysis and oximetry. Under this, what do we do? The arterial blood gas analysis generally gives us, or we measure the partial pressure of carbon dioxide, partial pressure of oxygen, and oximetry we measure oxygenation and deoxygenation blood in our body. Generally, it is more than 92% done through pulse oximeter by placing it on your fingers and earlobes and fingers. The PCO2 now value is 35 to 45 mm of Hg, and the PO2 is 90 to 130 mm of Hg. What do this mean? It generally gives about the alkalosis or acidosis part, that I'll be suffering from acidosis or alkalosis, and the component is either metabolic or respiratory. So, from the abdominal analysis, we come to know about metabolic alkalosis or metabolic acidosis or respiratory alkalosis or respiratory acidosis, as well as oxygenation and deoxygenation. Now, our last part is the fifth part, the fifth category, which covers the exercise test or the exercise test, or we can say it is an exercise test. And how do we perform it? We tell a patient to go for a 6-minute breastwalk, or we tell him or we tell him to run on a treadmill, or we can also use or place ECG to know about the cardiopulmonary problems. So in the fifth category, we tell a patient for a 6-minute breast walk, or we can make him run on a treadmill. We can also place ECG to know about some cardiopulmonary problems the patient is suffering from or facing. So these are the 5 things which we test under our lung function test or pulmonary function test. This is just a short video to get to know about your overview, to show you the overview of pulmonary function test. In our subsequent video, we are going to discuss each point separately or in detail. Let me correct this. This is 113 mm of Hg. And this one too, it is more romantic 5%. Thank you for watching us. If you like our video, then subscribe and share. Thank you.